coming from Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey in the morning makes me feel alive. Woke me up this morning, now I'm up and on my way. Oh, 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 yeah, what a great way to start your day, the Lakey way.
That's me, isn't it? It's me. It's Jimmy Lakey. Nice to have you here on the program. It's the Hump Day, halfway to Friday edition of the show, heading into a holiday weekend to celebrate the independence of America. Independence Day, of course, on Friday. We will do the show through Thursday. We will take Friday off this week to celebrate America, as I hope you will as well. So then we'll join you back on Monday. So here we are on the, again, what is it? The second day of July, year of our Lord, 2025. Pleasured, pleased, and I'm thrilled to be here. Indeed, I am. President Donald John Trump just keeps on winning. Another big day yesterday. And really the most surprising victory, I think, for Trump came later in the day. And I will unpack that here in just a moment as we set up the show for the day. But the big, beautiful bill has passed the U.S. Senate. Coming up on the show, I was watching some of the news story, and I said, really, the old the days of journalism where you do the who, what, where, when, and why. You answer the basic questions. They say it passed and it's different than the House, is different than the Senate, but nobody really gives a big breakdown about the two bills and why they're different. And I heard Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, say that they're about 80% the same. And so we're going to go through some of the differences, what's in the big, beautiful bill that's back to the House today. And Mike Johnson said last night that he hopes to have it voted on today or tomorrow. And the news media says there could be some conflict. The House Freedom Caucus says, we don't like this new version of the bill, but we shall see. That was a big victory for President Donald John Trump, that his big, beautiful bill, he said yesterday, it would have been... He said it probably would have been better in several small bills, which a lot of people wanted. He said, but it wouldn't be as big and beautiful if he did several small bills. So we'll talk about the big, beautiful bill passing the Senate yesterday with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance, and we'll talk about that. And we will talk about the differences between those two bills. So we'll get into that. Another victory that happened yesterday is that CBS News has decided to settle a lawsuit with Donald Trump about election interference. This just came out of nowhere. President Trump said took him to court, and Paramount and CBS are going to be forced to pay 8 figures, and they had to change their editorial policy in a settlement with President Donald John Trump. Another victory. The news media basically gets caught with their pants down when it comes to election interference. They reach about north of $30 million to settle this thing. Trump's going to receive $16 million up front, covering his legal fees, the cost of the case, contributions to his future presidential library, and charitable causes to be determined at Trump's discretion. What's going to be beautiful is, as much as the media hates Donald Trump and they despise him and they tried to undermine him, a lot of these lawsuits that are happening in these settlements are going to go towards the presidential library, and the very media that tried to destroy him is going to be the media that is actually literally cash rolling the presidential library. 16 million of north of 30 million are going to be up front. And this is an anticipated, there's going to be another allocation in the mid-8 figures set aside for different things, for advertisements, public service announcements, public mea culpas that CBS and Paramount's going to do. If you recall, $15 million was paid by ABC in the lawsuit of George Stephanopoulos. Now, what CBS is settling is that they basically, right at the end of the election cycle, when they did the big interview with Kamala Harris, the Kamala Harris lady, they put their thumbs on the tip of to try to tip the election by editing out some of Kamala's answers. They would not release the unredacted video. They wouldn't release a transcript. They just basically cut and pasted to make Kamala look good and look better, and they called that election interference. CBS and Paramount had said, yeah, that's probably not good. He was seeking only $20 billion in his lawsuit. CBS is not acknowledging any journalistic wrongdoing with this settlement, but they are writing a very fat, big check to President Trump. So another big win. But perhaps the most explaining win, the surprising, most surprising win to explain came yesterday. So you started off the morning thinking Trump's going to win with the big, beautiful bill. And that's a big win. That's a big win for President Trump. All of his signature campaign items, no taxes on tips, all of that stuff came in that big, beautiful bill package. And it's a victory for him. Whether you liked it or not, vote for it, too big of government, not enough cuts, whatever. For Trump, it is a victory. And then you get the victory of alligator Alcatraz walking around Florida, talking about alligators, and they're going to be helping keep the prisoners and the illegals from running away while they await their deportation. Another big victory for President Trump. And then you had the CBS settlement, but perhaps one of the most profound and I guess unexpected was a confession by the University of Pennsylvania that basically they had done naughty things by not letting Riley Gaines win the medal and having somebody compete against her that was a biological boy, a guy with his twig and berries still intact, and yet he was able to compete in girls swimming. He was a failed male swimmer, so he decided to win medals at the expense of girls. And the administration came in and put some pressure on University of Pennsylvania. Unlike these other Ivy League schools like Harvard and Columbia not wanting to cave to what's proper on the campus, University of Pennsylvania says, yeah, we're not going to do that. And it's a pretty big, I've got the story. I want to play it for you here in just a second from Laura Ingram. Last night, Riley Gaines was on there. But it's an actual fascinating story because University of Pennsylvania is apologizing. They are going to strip this boy of his medals. They're going to grant medals in retrospect to all the girls that were affected by this biological male racing against them. And they are also going to, it's an entire mea culpa. It is a repentance. It is beg for forgiveness. University of Pennsylvania really making some pretty big statements with that. And so, again, President Trump just keeps on winning. He campaigned with the fact that biological boys should not be competing in girls' sports and men should not compete against women's sports, that girls are being it's an assault on their scholarship rights and their ability to achieve great things on the athletic courts if you let the biological boys do these things. And President Trump was, the Democrats doubled down and doubled down and on the transgender agenda. And guess what? Now, University of Pennsylvania has changed course on the boys in the girls' sports, and they have said, now, if you got the twig and the berries, or you used to have it and you went through, if you're whatever you're born at, you're going to compete in that sport, and University of Pennsylvania does the right thing. So let me play it. This was really big news when it comes to, you can debate whether the big, beautiful bill is conservative enough for you and whether you would like to see more or go further. Now, I did learn something about the big, beautiful bill. I'm going to make myself a note that Mike Johnson said. They gave me a little respite because I've said this big, beautiful bill is not necessarily as beautiful as I would want it to be, but I heard something from the speaker talking about the convoluted rules of the House and the Senate, and I said, okay, this is promising because this is a reconciliation bill. And they got enough reconciled between the past government and the budget and here, and they're able to do more than one a year. And Mike Johnson says, listen, let's get the first bite of the apple here. Then we're going to come back and do another reconciliation bill, and we're going to trim and rearrange some more things. We can't get it all at one time. We have to, these are members of Congress. We're going to do it one baby step at a time, but it is a baby step. And I was not aware that they were intending another reconciliation bill this year. So, and even next year, they're going to keep doing reconciliation bills because they can bypass the 60-vote filibuster in the Senate. So Mike Johnson says, don't panic. This is one bite of the apple. We're going to do more reconciliation bills, and then we're going to get the rescission bill. And so people that think it's not a big enough cut or there's not a big enough rearranging of priorities, hold tight. It's going to be okay. So stand by. We'll get to that. But so again, you can argue the conservative principles of the big, beautiful bill and whether or not President Trump and the House and the Senate are doing everything that they need to do to trim government and shape things up in Washington. But probably one of the biggest wins yesterday wasn't the big beautiful bill. It wasn't the millions of dollars from CBS. I think one of the biggest wins yesterday was the University of Pennsylvania coming out and saying, "Hey, we've been wrong, and we shouldn't have done this." And Riley Gaines is going to feel justified, and she's going to feel vindicated. And this is a segment. Just watch this. This is from the Ingram angle with Laura Ingram last evening. And this is Linda McMahon, Secretary of Education, and Riley Gaines on with Laura Ingram talking about what perhaps is one of the biggest wins of yesterday. Again, you probably thought the big, beautiful bill was the big win yesterday. Maybe he's going to spike the football when it comes to a settlement with CBS on election interference, but really when it comes to, I think it really probably an 80-20 issue, and an issue that was also centerpiece in the campaign is defending girls in girls athletics, girls sports, and this happened last night on the Ingram Angle. Watch this. Here it is.
Incredible day today, Laura, and thank you so much for having us on so we can talk about it. Thanks to President Trump and the Trump administration, what he campaigned on, what he actually signed an executive order on, which was that men will not be able to compete in women's sports, was acknowledged by the University of Pennsylvania. We have signed an agreement with them, and we hope that that agreement is going to be a template for other universities who acknowledge that there is no room for men in women's sports, not only during the competition, but also in the locker room and other intimate spaces where these women were required to be with males who changed in front of them. So this is a big deal. The university is apologizing. It is taking away the titles that were incorrectly given to men. It has stated that it will not have anything on its website other than the fact that they are complying, with Title IX. We are just very pleased with the outcome that we had today. It's an utter triumph for President Trump and for the administration, but mostly for the women and girls who will come behind the Riley Gaines and the Paula Scanlons and others. And they've really laid the groundwork for them to be successful. And the star of the hour really is Riley.
Riley Gaines is going to jump in here. Watch Riley Gaines say she just heard the ruling like everybody else. This is breaking news. You can see the beaming smile on her face. And this is Riley Gaines yesterday on Ingram Angle. Laura Ingram says, "Okay, Miss McMahon, quieten down. Let's let Riley Gaines speak because she's a real winner here." And here's what that sounded like last evening on Laura Ingram.
And I know she's on for you to ask about that.
Now, Riley, you have been a champion on this issue. You received an enormous amount of flack and criticism, some of it really vicious over the years. But you knew you were right, and President Trump and Secretary McMahon helped along the way. Without them, this would not have happened, obviously. Your reaction tonight, historic news from UPenn.
Man, I watched that video back, Laura, that you showed in the intro to this segment, and I cannot even believe that happened. All the while, so many sat idly by and watched and actually reprimanded us as women if we even dared to speak about this. To say that I, of course, am grateful for Secretary McMahon, for President Trump, for even Attorney General Bondi. She's been fantastic at the Department of Justice on this issue is an understatement. I feel vindicated. I feel like pigs are flying. I feel like hell has frozen over. So it is a fantastic day, of course, for sanity, for common sense. But I think more broadly for women, for humanity, for the little girl that I'm growing inside of me right now that I will welcome to the world in just a few weeks. I think of her. I think of her future. That is what Donald Trump and, of course, Secretary McMahon and myself, that is what we are fighting for. So very, very excited about today's news.
So there you have it. Big news. I mean, it's amazing when you're having to take the victories of Donald Trump and his administration, and you're having to rank them day by day and go, okay, that was the biggest win. I think that's the biggest win. Maybe, that's the biggest win. Again, it really is stunning to see that come out from the University of Pennsylvania. Good for them. Credit where credit is due for finally getting their hearts right on this topic, and we'll continue to talk about it. Just look at those wins yesterday. The CBS win. You had the big, beautiful bill win, and it's fascinating that then all of a sudden University of Pennsylvania comes out and says it wasn't just like it wasn't like they came with their tail between their legs. We're so sorry. I mean, it is like they did a complete mea culpa. They are going to write personal letters to every girl that was forced to compete and or be exposed literally to a male and his body parts dangling around in a locker room. They're all getting apology letters. They're going to clean their website up. They're letting whatever the guy's name is, letting him know that his victories are no longer there, null and void. Riley Gaines is a champion. I mean, all of this just came out because why? Because you have a president that's really willing to stand up, not just for common sense, but for what is right and what we all know is dang right. And the Democrats on the wrong side of this issue, now they're going to be left to defend themselves. And are they going to have to come out now and defend the boy swimmer and his twig and berries for winning those medals? Are they going to come out in defense against Riley Gaines? It'll be interesting because Democrats have said that there was nothing wrong with this. And now the University of Pennsylvania is basically saying, yeah, there was something wrong with this. We were following a different set of standards, but now we're going to follow the right standards. And the Democrats are going, oh, wait, the University of Pennsylvania didn't stand their ground? Will the Democrat Party continue to stand their ground when it comes to boys and girls sports? So a big day of winning. And I think that one, when it comes to conservatism and common sense, is probably the biggest win of the day. And it came late in the day. Donald J. Trump keeps on winning. All right, we got a breaking news story on a breaking news hump day. It's July the 2nd. We're broadcasting, if you're listening later in the day, it's 8:18, 8:16 in the morning here in the Mountain Time Zone. Some of you are on the East Coast listening, the Central Time Zone as well. So you are listening in different time zones, but it's about 17 minutes after the hour on a Wednesday morning. And breaking news from the Manhattan Federal Court building in New York City is the jury has reached a verdict when it comes to P. Diddy. The Diddy trial has yesterday, the jury came out and said they were hung. They had a partial verdict, but not a complete verdict. And the judge said, I don't care. Get your little butts back in the jury room and come up with your decision. And so a verdict is going to be read, very likely, possibly, while we are on this program today on the P. Diddy trial. Evidently, they had come to a conclusion on some of the sexual charges of sexual nature, but it was the racketeering charge that they were hung up on, and the judge said, get in there and figure it out, keep going. So they went back in, and by this morning they took another vote, and they were no longer a hung jury. And so the breaking news is, in the Diddy trial, the jury has reached a verdict. Soon the verdict to be read in the Diddy trial. The press is going crazy in Manhattan outside the courthouse, just waiting for some kind of a word, and we will let you know as soon as it happens that we will have a verdict in the Diddy trial in breaking news this morning. Hey, can I share some good news for you, my friends? Some very, very good news. What kind of car do you drive? I got a big announcement. We launched this yesterday afternoon, and all of us would like to have an opportunity to win a car, right? You'd like to win a vehicle? Well, what if I could give you a way to win this little vehicle right here? Watch it on the screen. That is a Ford Bronco Raptor. Not just a regular Ford Bronco, but it is a Raptor edition of it. And the Raptor came with the Ford trucks, and it was named after a Baja Racing model, and it's made for Baja, and there you see it going through the desert. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have an opportunity for you to win that. We have launched, as of yesterday afternoon, a sweepstakes. And you can go to riverspromise.com or riverspromise.org, and up on the menu, look at the tab that says win. And by joining the sweepstakes, you will have a chance. There will be a winner. Several weeks down the road, we will have a winner, and that winner will win that 2025 Ford Bronco Raptor, and it will be yours if you choose to take it, or there's a cash buyout if you don't want to take the vehicle. But it's a donation to Rivers Promise is how it works, and you can help us out starting today, and you can buy lots of tickets, buy a few tickets, buy often, and every time you make a donation, you get entered in another chance to win that 2025 Ford Bronco. All the rules and regulations are found on that page, all the details, the FAQs, and all the legalese needs to be there. But if you go to riverspromise.com or riverspromise.org, look at the tab that says win, W-I-N, and this is a chance for you to give to our charity work, Rivers Promise, and somebody's going to win a Bronco Raptor this year on that thing. So there's breaking news there. I mean, look at that beast out in the desert rolling around. That is a glorious, beautiful car, and it has these are hard to get. The Raptor editions are really hard to get, and we have already ordered it. It is on order, and it should be available. Well, it'll be available right about the time the drawing of the winner takes place. So if you'd like to make a donation and win a 2025 Ford Bronco Raptor, go to Rivers Promise, go to the Win tab, and if you go to the Win tab, you will see it, and the opportunity to win indeed. All right, here's the breaking news. Back to Sean Diddy Combs. I'm reading from the screen, my friends. This is coming out. There's no camera in the courtroom. Sean Diddy Combs has found guilty on 2 counts. I believe it's a transportation to engage in prostitution as it pertains to Diddy's ex-girlfriend, accuser Cassie Ventura. The other 4 counts I'm seeing, the reporter says, breaking news, he's found guilty on 2 counts. Sorry, this is a breaking news thing. Transportation to engage in prostitution, count 3 and 5 as they pertain to his girlfriend. So some of the charges of more sexual nature he has been found guilty on, and they're still trying to figure out what the verdicts are. Yeah, count 3 and 5, he's definitely found guilty on. Count 3 and 5, and we'll get you details. Breaking news, so sorry. We're just kind of following along with the teleprompters, closed captioning on the screens and trying to figure out exactly. But breaking news, Sean Diddy Combs found guilty of he's found guilty on the sex trafficking charges. The sex trafficking is basically what he has been charged with, found guilty with. And it looks like the racketeering, I'm not sure they made progress on that. That's evidently a very hard thing to prove. Racketeering is not something that has been proven there, but they did, or at least voted a guilty. But the sex trafficking charges, prostitution, transportation, all that, it looks like those are guilty. It's a breaking news story. As it develops, they'll give us a better summary here. But again, watching it in real time and trying to figure out exactly what happened. All right, let's go back to the news yesterday. I want to get back to this string of winning by President Trump. I think it's fascinating win. And I want to continue to get your thoughts. What was the biggest win for common sense and conservatism? And I don't think it was the big, beautiful bill. We'll talk about some of the differences in that in the program, but we'll also, I think you got to look at that University of Pennsylvania mea culpa and say that was the biggest win, and Donald Trump keeps on winning. So we'll come back to the big, beautiful bill in just a second. We'll continue to talk about Sean Combs found guilty on 2 counts of sex trafficking, basically, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But there's an interesting story that leads us to a question of the day. One of the things I have to do in the chat room is keep you guys focused and in line. And so I ask you questions to get your thoughts and your opinions. So this is your time to mouth off if you haven't already. By the way, Arloa's jumped in here, and she says she feels better about another chance to get some things on the big, beautiful bill later. I don't want illegals getting Medicare or Medicaid. By the way, I'm going to dive into this, Arloa. You bring up a point. I'm teasing the future segment here. Yesterday, Laura Carno and I talked about how it was in the U.S. Senate that they were removing the restriction of illegals being on Medicaid, and supposedly illegals were still going to get to come to the country. Well, that was incorrect. By the time they voted on the final Senate version, my understanding is that the restrictions on illegals getting Medicaid was finally in the final Senate version. And so there's a victory for conservatism, and talking about another chance to get some things out, clean up government, talking about what Mike Johnson said last night, that there can be another reconciliation bill coming forward, and they're just taking one bite of the apple at a time because it's just easier for members to get there. And then they'll come back and negotiate the next reconciliation. So there could be another one. That's good news. We'll come back to that. But here's a story this morning that I think I want your participation in, if I may get that. And this is about food. I know earlier this week we talked about food, and a lot of you participated by talking about the things that you would like to eat at the barbecue, and people got into this weird, perverted conversation about putting cheese on apple pies. I'm still in awe that broke out into conversation. Well, I have a story here that I want to get into because there's a poll that's done every year, and they ask America, what is the most satisfying fast food chain that's out there? Which fast food chain kicks butts, takes names, makes you feel satisfied, makes you feel happy? And for the 11th consecutive, the king, or they should say the queen, or the person, the leading franchise fast food chain, national fast food chain, for the 11th consecutive years, according to the newest American Consumer Satisfaction ratings, is Chick-fil-A out of Atlanta. The Atlanta-based fast food company beat its competitors, including KFC, which KFC had the highest drop-off of all the major food chains out there. So Chick-fil-A stands at the top of the hill, and KFC has had a very bad year when it comes to customer satisfaction. Chick-fil-A on the scale scored about an 83. That's the same as they scored in 2024, but it's still the highest of all chains. The question again for you is, what is the most satisfying or your go-to fast food chain? I don't need to hear about the mom and pop greasy spoon diner. We'll do that another day. This is an opportunity for you to tell us the fast food chain that you really prefer, that you like. Chick-fil-A, is that the most satisfying of the fast food chains? According to the survey from the American Consumers Institute, they say yes for the 11th straight year. Consumers look at it and go, yeah, we're going to go with that Chick-fil-A crowd. That's what we're going to go with, the Chick-fil-A restaurant. So give me yours. Let me give you some more details on this, because it is actually quite interesting. The popular chicken joint is not just a regional favorite, but it's a favorite throughout the country. It's first in the South and in the West, and it tied in the Midwest. In the Midwest region, Culver's was the second, tied Chick-fil-A as the most satisfying. So in most of the country, Chick-fil-A was the top-rated, most satisfying fast food chain restaurant. But in the Midwest, it tied with Culver's. And if you've ever been to Culver's, they make a pretty good burger. If you don't have a Culver's near you, if you ever see one when you're on a road trip, you should eat at Culver's. It's pretty darn good food. Chick-fil-A's dominance continues in a restaurant industry that continues to struggle out there. There's some other food chains that you have to be aware of. Chick-fil-A reported a 5.4% sales growth in 2024. It's the slowest growth in at least 20 years. So while Chick-fil-A is still a consumer favorite, its growth has slowed down in the last year. Part of that could be that there's some competition out there. Now, I'll get into the competition here in just a second. And again, our question of the day is, what's the most satisfying and pleasing fast food chain? What's the one that makes you the happiest to get to eat at? And Panda Express also saw the most growth. Popeyes, another chicken joint, they also saw great growth, not as much as Chick-fil-A. Their growth was around a 4% increase, and Chick-fil-A's growth had slowed to about a 5.4% increase. Panda Express tied Starbucks for the second overall. So Chick-fil-A is the king of the hill for the last 11 years. Panda Express and Starbucks come in at number 2 as a fast food chain. Now, I don't think of Starbucks as a fast food chain, but I guess they do serve food, and it's considered a fast food joint. And also one of the biggest jumps was Popeyes this year, coming in pretty strong. If you want to break it down by categories as the most satisfying and pleasing fast food chain restaurants, Papa John's is the one that is the top pizza place for the best pizza, satisfying pizza. Papa John's is a top place, and then you have Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Little Caesars all coming in within a point of each other, but Papa John's is the top of the pizza chains. KFC had the sharpest decline of all of the fast food chains last year, and brands like Wingstop and Raising Cane's are increasing their popularity and putting some pressure on Chick-fil-A and also on KFC. And that's why you see Chick-fil-A's growth not be as exponential as it has been. And KFC sales actually go down, according to the report. Oh, by the way, last place, the least satisfying fast food restaurant on the whole graph and the whole report. You ready for this? The least satisfying, last place. You want to guess it? Anybody want to guess it out there? What do you think the least place is? The least favorite, the least satisfying? McDonald's. McDonald's is last on the list there. And everybody goes there. There's some McDonald's sometimes on every corner, but that's not the most satisfying vote in America. All right, RJ says Chick-fil-A is the most satisfying. Jim jumps in and says Cane's or Culver's. I agree with that. Culver's is good. Cane's, and so we got Cane's and Culver's. What's the go-to fast food restaurant for you? If you're going to be on the pinch and you take the exit off the highway and you're in one of those exits that have walls and walls of fast food restaurants, what are the national chain fast food restaurants that you are most likely to say, let's go to that one? And Chick-fil-A is the number one nationally. Culver's is a big one in the Midwest, but Chick-fil-A is known nationally. So what's your favorite go-to restaurant? Ray says Five Guys. Five Guys is fast casual dining. Five Guys is good. It's expensive. It's a big burger and a great burger, very expensive. I don't think they counted Five Guys because Five Guys doesn't have a drive-through window. I think they said Five Guys. I think that's why they didn't count Five Guys, because it's fast casual, but it's sit-down fast casual. It's not a there's no drive-through option, and so therefore it's not technically fast food. So I think that's why Five Guys not the thing. Benjamin says In-N-Out. I don't think they gave you a chance to vote on In-N-Out because that is not a national chain. Now it is expanding. Of course, California is where the start of In-N-Out happened. There's some in the Las Vegas area. There's some in Phoenix. We have some now in Colorado. There's a big presence for In-N-Out in Texas, but it is not nationally. And so therefore, In-N-Out was not on the list of what you could vote for on this list from what I can see. They only did chains and places that had a presence pretty much in the majority of the states. Culver's, I don't believe, is in all 50 states, but they have a very good presence. There's another one that I want to see on the list and I can't see it, but I thought they had pretty good presence, and I think they do a pretty good job, is a little restaurant burger joint that started in Kansas called Freddy's. I think Freddy's is very satisfying when I go there, so it's a good. I noticed that kind of mediocre Wendy's is not on the list. Burger King not on the list. It's the battle of the chicken joints. America seems to be fascinated with chicken. Why are we so fascinated by fast food chicken? Is it because frying chicken in your home is a real pain in the patootie? Maybe we'd like that mess to be in someone else's kitchen. That's the only reason I can think that why chicken. You can make a burger at home. You can make a burger on the grill. And burgers are something that you can make, and you can make a dang good one usually. But I'm wondering if chicken is such a popular category in fast food restaurants. Is it because it's fried food, and because the fried foods are hard for you to make? You got the oil, you got the splash, you got all the stuff, you got the grease, and then it's just a pain in the butt if you're going to do that. If you're not going to make regular fried food, it's a pain to do that. So I think that's why chicken's so popular. But KFC's having a rough time. We could do that also. Of the chicken places, what is your favorite chicken? Now, Cane's is one I don't understand. My son, all of his friends all through high school, they love the Cane's chicken. And then you say, what's so special about Cane's chicken? They say the sauce. And I say, that doesn't count. We're judging chicken to chicken, not sauce to sauce. And it's not a sauce joint, it's a chicken joint. Anyway, your favorite go-to fast food restaurant, let us know. That is your question of the day that is poised right here in front of you today. Your favorite fast food restaurant, your go-to. In a pinch, when you got to get fast food, is there a place that you will go? And that you will go if let's say you got all of them lined up. You got the Wendy's, you got the McDonald's, you've got the Burger King, you've got the Cane's, you've got the Chick-fil-A, you got all of them lined up there at the exit near the truck stop, and you're there, and nobody has a line, and you don't care. You're just going to get there. Which one do you go to? That's your go-to. Which one do you go to? Our Lois says Steak and Shake used to be her favorite, but they've really gone downhill. I've had Steak and Shake a couple of times, usually at airports, and you cannot judge any chain by their airport quality. There's a rule for that. But our Lois says she likes Freddy's better now. Todd says definitely not a national chain, but Runza. Anybody know Runza? That's they're based out of Nebraska. Big deal in Nebraska. There's Runzas up that direction, and then you have the and then I think we have a couple of Runzas in Colorado. I think there's a two or three, one or two out there. Linda jumps in and says Arby's. Arby's is one of those restaurants that just kind of keeps on giving. I'm guessing the franchisees make money. There's not a lot of Arby's, but the roast beef is good. That little sloppy cheese sauce they put on there. The horsey sauce at Arby's is really good as well. Anyway, it's just fascinating to see the restaurants that aren't on there and the ones that have rises and falls and do well and don't do well. And then you have And then you have Chick-fil-A for 11 straight years. Now, here's I want to get back to the news here, but I've got to tell you this question. I got to get back to the news here. But isn't it amazing that in 11 years, Chick-fil-A has been the top of customer satisfaction, consumer satisfaction when it comes to fast food chains? And how many of you have ever gone to a fast food restaurant and you didn't want to be there anyway, but you're starving and you got to get the double cheeseburger and you're just going to go to McDonald's, even though they show on customer satisfaction it's the lowest of all the national chains, right? The lowest, right? But wouldn't you think that all of these other chains, Arby's, McDonald's, everybody would say, why is it that in customer satisfaction, Chick-fil-A is kicking our butt all the time? What is the secret sauce, if you will, of why consumer reports and surveys by consumers say that Chick-fil-A is king? That's a great question. Why is nobody seemingly learning from the magic that Chick-fil-A brings to the table? Near me, there's a brand new Chick-fil-A. They've redesigned it, and they have the drive-through speaker, but I've been through the drive-through a couple of times, and I'll tell you, they don't let you use the speaker. They've got youngsters out there with iPads and poking in your order there, right there in front of you, and they greet you. That's what's baffling to me is how Chick-fil-A has really no competition when it comes to customer satisfaction. And why is it that other fast food chains are not learning from that? That's a question that I throw out there. Ray's in the chat room. He says, my wife and I just got back from Fort Worth and had Church's chicken, and it was pretty good chicken. Church's chicken. That's what we grew up on in Texas when I grew up at. If mama's going to have a fried chicken night. Now, I grew up in the South, and so it was nothing that you can have a fish fry, you can have a chicken fry. You do that. But there was times that you just go buy the chicken. If we're going to buy the fast food chicken, Church's is usually where we went to, right? And I don't know if that was a budget thing. I don't know if we ever did A/B testing on KFC. There was a KFC on that corner and a Church's chicken on that. And by the way, I've been Texas a lot this year. I think there's more chicken restaurants there in Texas than there are cowboy hats. There are chicken restaurants everywhere. Church's is just one of those. All right. Jim says the people are the difference. This is true. If you ever watch a Chick-fil-A, they are really staffed up. I mean, they are staffed up so big. And so, I mean, it's crazy. You got staffers everywhere, and you can go to McDonald's and you got the same person stacking the hash browns in the little envelope as you got running the drive-through. So it's a staffing issue. I think it's not just staffing, but the people that they staff are very good as well. But anyway, Chick-fil-A. Roger jumps in and says, Dave's Hot Chicken, extra hot, hands down. If you don't have a Dave's Hot Chicken, it's a California chain. And it's come to Colorado. It's in several other states. I would highly recommend you go check out Dave's Hot Chicken. That's a good one. Now I'm hungry. All right, let's get back to the news. What do I say? Back to the news we go. The big, beautiful bill passes yesterday. What's the difference between the House bill? What are we going to find in there? Now, there was a misnomer, and I think they had yanked it out, but it got put back into the last minute. Because there was somebody in the Senate that was not going to vote for the one big, beautiful bill if there was had provision that removed and restricted Medicaid access for illegal aliens. Well, there are other people that said, okay, if we can't be conservative enough and smart enough and probably more of an 80-20, 70-30, 80, maybe a 90-10 issue, and say that if you break the law to come here, you should not be guaranteed federally funded Medicaid programs because you're illegal. You're a criminal. Why are we blessing your heart with medical care in our country? And so there were other U.S. senators throughout the day that said, no, you got to put that back in there. If we're going to get anything that seems conservative in this bill, we have to do it. So both the House and the Senate version of the one big, beautiful bill, which is called H.R. 1, they both include provisions that further restrict Medicaid access for undocumented immigrants, according to the news story and the research. That means illegal aliens. It tightens eligibility verification for all applicants when it comes to Medicaid. Let me go through some of the highlights of how they affected Medicaid. This is the talking point of the Democrat Party. Undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for federally funded Medicaid under existing law, and the House bill goes further. It says it's going to cut federal funding to states that use their own money to provide Medicaid for undocumented immigrants. So if you're California or Colorado and you're paying for the Medicaid and you're paying your money that the federal government gives you and you're paying for undocumented illegals, the federal government says, we're going to cut your funding because you're using the money inappropriate and you are providing Medicaid for undocumented immigrants. It also is going to reduce the federal match program for emergency medicated services provided to undocumented immigrants. So it's going to reduce the amount. If there's an emergency, a medical emergency for an undocumented illegal, then we're going to reduce the federal match program. You deal with it. If you're letting them in your state, it's a sanctuary state, a sanctuary city. The federal government's not going to be as generous to match you saying, oh, we had an emergency. Well, screw it. You shouldn't have created an atmosphere where the illegal wanted to be there. It's also going to impose stricter verification requirements for Medicaid and CHIP, denying federal funds to anyone whose citizenship or immigration status is not verified within a set period of time, and making an interim coverage optional for states. And so anyway, so that was going around yesterday. Laura Carno and I talked about this, is that what about illegal aliens, and why do they continue to get Medicaid and health care? And this bill does restrict that greatly in both the House and the Senate version. It was in the House version. Yesterday they said it came out of the Senate version, but the final version came back and they got it put back in there. Real quick, I want to go to the breaking news again. Sean Combs has been found not guilty, of racketeering conspiracy. So the most serious charges that he had facing him were the RICO charges, the racketeering charges, and he has been found not guilty. He's acquitted of the most serious charges. There's a prostitution and a trafficking across state lines for sex acts, the kind of thing that he has been found guilty of, but the racketeering, he has been acquitted of that racketeering conspiracy. Diddy Combs has been acquitted. All right, I want to dive into the differences between these two bills because nobody really did a comprehensive breakdown, but the Senate and the House versions of the one big beautiful bill have core priorities that are there. And then there's some variations around the theme and around the ancillary edges that you go, okay, I wish they didn't have that. I wish they didn't have that. I view it this way, that Republicans, you've been in Washington a long time. And one of the reasons we have such a spending debacle is because Republicans are guilty of it as well. They have participated in stupidity as much as Democrats. Maybe the levels of stupidity and the direction of their stupidity has been different, but they've committed a lot of stupid actions, even as Republicans. And so the one big beautiful bill, H.R. 1, is not a perfect bill, but it does go to the very core of the Donald Trump campaign, his promises, and all the things that he said he would do. And there are some significant details and difference in funding mechanisms between the House and the Senate. But Speaker of the House Johnson last night said that about 80% the same, and so there's some variations. We're going to get into those variations in just a moment. But let me also remind you, my friends, yesterday I had Sherry Cree on the program, realtor extraordinaire. After the show, I had a dear person who's listened to me for a long time, 87 years young Irene, messaged me and said, Jimmy, I need that realtor's name and number. And I handed off the name of Sherry Cree and she said, hey, Irene may be in touch with you. She's one of us. She's one of the listeners, one of the viewers. And if Irene gets in touch with you, take good care of Irene, which I knew Sherry would. And Sherry immediately retorted back and says, one of my specialties is taking care of seniors and caregivers. She has a real soft spot in her heart. So maybe you have an aging parent and you're looking to have them for some reason sell a home or buy a home, or maybe you got a caregiving situation and you just got to find the right location because of the caregiving situation. Again, you're talking about all the great things that Sherry Cree does, but one of those things is she has a real soft spot in her heart for the caregivers and the seniors out there. So listen, Irene, a very smart lady, messaged me yesterday and said, can you give me Sherry's number? And I did. And why don't you do the same thing? Go back and listen or watch yesterday's show and listen to Sherry Cree talk about the market right now. It is you ready for this? It is a buyer's market right now. And so if you're a seller, you want to be really right in there and have your stuff together, your ducks in a row, so that you can have so that you can have the best success. And so selling is no joke in a buyer's market. You're going to have some things done, and she can help you know what I's to cross, I's to dot, T's to cross. She can help you get it right. And so Sherry Cree will help you. If you're a buyer out there, you also need to know it's a buyer's market. So things can be moving quickly because buyers are getting their way, and you need to be positioned as well. And Sherry can help you that. Again, whether it's she views the whole thing differently. It's all about generational wealth, and it's all about becoming your realtor for life, and she wants to do that. And Irene's making a call this week, hopefully to Sherry. I gave her the website. I gave her a phone number. You can do the same thing, homeswithsherry.com. Anywhere up and down that I-25 corridor. And by the way, don't forget what Sherry said on the program yesterday, that one of the things that she can do is she can give you a referral in another area. So maybe she says, hey, listen, I don't know that area very well. Maybe it's out of state. Maybe you're in Colorado Springs, and Sherry, you say, I'd love to Sherry help me. She'll probably going to refer you to someone. She's going to find someone with her values and her skill and her quality, and she can confidently refer you to somebody and get you to the right place. So that's a referral service that's available for you as well. It's homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Make sure you mention Jimmy. Irene, thanks for getting in touch with Sherry. I hope you do that today. All right. Let's go through this big, beautiful bill a little bit and look at some of the differences. Now, I know it's not everybody's got something they want differently in the bill. I understand that. But here's the key similarities between the House and the Senate. Okay. And these are the core parts of the Trump campaign. And if you're not hearing your item or your big thing here, don't forget what I was found refreshing last night, as Mike Johnson said, everybody, this is one bite at the apple. This apple, this behemoth, this nasty wad of government that we have in D.C. did not just come together overnight, and it's not going to get dismantled and put right overnight. It's going to take a process and a period of time, and it's going to take people continue to send Republicans and conservatives up to Congress. It's going to take some effort here. So he said it's one big, beautiful bill, but it's one bite of the apple. And he said they will do, and I was not aware they could do more than one reconciliation. So it's kind of like cleaning the windows. They're not going to get them crystal shiny yet. They're going to get the kind of the maiden smudge marked off of them, get all the windows, and then they're going to make another round and pass around, and that's what they're going to do. That's what another reconciliation bill. And then they still have the rescission bills. And so Mike Johnson says, everybody rest easy. This is not one size fits all. This is not the only step we're taking. This is only the first step and the first bite of the apple. And when I heard that there's more reconciliation bills coming, I said, okay, then I'm feeling better. It's not just this omnibus bill that just carries on. It does some things, it trims some things, it straightens up some things, and then they're going to come back and take another pass at it and see what they can do the next time. And then they'll do another one. They can do reconciliation bills, and the reason they want to do the reconciliation process is because it avoids the filibuster. And the filibuster, the 60-vote majority, has become it's good, and yet it can be bad, and it's been misused, I think, a lot. And so they're saying we'll do more reconciliation bills because we can actually get those through. All right, so here's the similarities. It extends most of the 2017 Trump tax cuts, including for individuals and businesses. So the Trump tax cuts that the members of Congress in 2017 said, yeah, we'll give you a tax cut, but there'll be a sunset. These politicians will always put a sunset or an expiration date on your tax cut, but they will never put an expiration date when it comes to, let's say, their spending, because they don't care about you. They only care about their power. And so that's why there was no real limit. I mean, we have governors still spending COVID dollars from years ago rather than being forced to return them to the federal government. We talked about it yesterday with Laura Carno. There is a bridge in downtown Denver that's going to go across, I believe, Colfax, that Jared Polis wants to put up there. And they're going to try to build that with COVID dollars that were left over. They didn't take care of COVID. They didn't spend all their COVID dollars. They put it in a slush fund so they can build a bridge over one of the streets around the state capitol in downtown Denver. And you can not have to cross the busy street in the crosswalk, and it'll be a pedestrian walkway. And Jared Polis wants that, and that's built from COVID funds. Well, they never, ever, ever put expiration on spending, but they always put expiration on tax cuts, and this will actually solidify and extend permanently the 2017 Trump tax cuts. That's good news. It's one of the biggest reasons this bill really needed to be passed. It also increased border security and defense spending. It put major investments in the U.S.-Mexican border wall. It completes the wall with this funding. It also starts building these migrant detention facilities that we're having. There's going to be another one built like Alligator Alcatraz in Florida that's going to be built on a military base. I hear they said last night, one's coming online in Alabama. Louisiana is stepping up, and states are coming up. Red states are coming up and saying, we'll build one. We'll build one of these places, and they're building them. And they're getting federal dollars to do that. And this bill yesterday allowed them to have those migrant detention centers built by states. This is a problem, but again, one bill at a time, one bite of the apple. It raises the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, the largest increase in U.S. history. That's what Rand Paul had a real tough time with. According to the research, it does take some cuts out of the spending of Medicaid, federal food aid, and changes to the student loan programs. It makes some changes, but a lot of those changes are just cleaning up the qualifications. What they call our cuts is, you may have fewer people covered by Medicaid, but that's because we're cutting off the funding to fund illegal aliens in Medicaid. So when you hear that there's cuts, a lot of the cuts are about the administration of it and why are certain people qualifying for these programs. They shouldn't be able to do that. It also reduces or ends the clean energy tax credits. And that's one of the things, electric vehicles were included in that. And that's one of the things that evidently Elon Musk is very upset with. And he was off the rails yesterday saying that as soon as this passes, he's going to start the American Party. And, I like Elon. I think he's contributed a lot with his doging, but sadly, I wish it was not the case. Elon comes from the corporate world, and I can understand very frustrated in Washington because things just don't move as quickly. There's Medicaid. The Senate version took steeper reductions, including shrinking Medicaid overall. So the Senate version is actually more aggressive in trimming up the Medicaid. The House version the final Senate version added money for rural hospitals more than the House version did. So people say they're going to get rid of hospitals in rural areas. That's a fake line because they actually added about $10 billion over 5 years to help rural hospitals. The clean energy tax, the Senate stripped out the proposed new tax on wind and solar projects with Chinese components. The House version included that. So there's a little reconciliation that happens there. But overall, when you look at a column by column comparison, it's dollar amounts that are different. It's funding mechanisms that are different. And that's why I think Mike Johnson's probably right that this is 80% the same bill. But there's some variations there. And there's some things that the House says it doesn't reduce the deficit enough. I mean, there's some back and forth, but overall, it is one bite at the apple, and it does include all the things that Donald J. Trump campaigned on, and he campaigned on the no tax on tips and no tax on overtimes, and this puts all that in there. So there are some differences, but overall, I think it's, again, when I heard that there can be another reconciliation bill, I said, good Lord, that's good news. I like the reconciliation bill. So what's in the BBB? A lot of good stuff. I haven't found evidence of a lot of pork barrel spending. Now, there are some things in that people say, why don't they gut the green new energy stuff that was started under Biden? Well, here's why. They trimmed a lot of it, but you have Republicans who, when there was green new energy dollars being funneled out and spent in districts, Republicans stood up and said, hey, I'd like some of that money in my district. And so they distributed that money into their district, and guess what happens? What happens is that money, they start liking it, and nobody wants to get rid of it. And so you have Republicans going, listen, we have a narrow majority, and I'm holding this seat together because I've got this money coming in the district. Don't take the money away from my district because we may not win re-election. So there was a little bit of that politicking, and that's what happens. Donald Trump explained that yesterday. He said, yeah, even Republicans you'd think would not like this green new energy stuff, and yet some of these House members got some of that money into their district, and they want it there, and it's going to stay there for a little bit longer. But it has been trimmed, some of that green energy stuff, because that's why Elon Musk is all bitter and mad, evidently, that he's not very upset. So there's some comparison. Jim asked a good question. Do you think Chuck Schumer had them read the bill to ensure they did not slip in term limits? That's always a fun question. Who actually read the bill? It's 900 and something pages, and they were changing it on the fly yesterday, but at 900 something, it's not as bad as some bills. Some of these bills are thousands and thousands. This is 900 and something pages. So I think they're going to get it through. Johnson thinks, the speaker thinks they'll get it through the House maybe by tomorrow. And he was pointing out there's not as many differences as you would think. There are some funding and some ancillary differences, but 80% it's the same bill, and they're just going to have to kind of work out some of that 20% issues. And so we'll watch and see what happens. Again, I think the biggest story yesterday was not the passing of the big, beautiful bill, but it was the University of Pennsylvania coming out and saying, we're not going to, we apologize to all the girls that are had to compete with biological boys, and it'll never happen again. And Riley Gaines gets her medals. And any girl that was stripped of a title or a record, those girls are going to be retrofitted with that, and they're going to be in the record books as they should be, and not be allowed to be by biological boys. So good for the University of Pennsylvania. That, I think, was one of the biggest wins of Donald Trump yesterday. And I point this out again. I don't know I know there's good days and bad days in life. All of us have good days and bad days, and all of us go through seasons in which we feel like everything's winning, and all of us have gone through seasons where we feel like nothing's really working out real well right now. Those seasons can be a day, a week, a month, a year. We've all been there, right? A couple of hours. Man, this has been a rough couple of hours. I need to go reset. Well, Donald Trump has had a fantastic couple of weeks, and it's just been win, win, win. And again, are we all the way across the finish line? No, but it took a long time for this country to get into this place we're at. It took a long time for our budget and spending in Washington to get where it's at. And it's going to take a little bit of time to unpeel the apple. And as long as I sense that Donald Trump and most Republicans are ready to bite by bite, stick with it and unpeel the apple. And if it's another reconciliation bill, then so be it. Let's do another one. And let's do another one. And let's do another one. And with that type of attitude, I think it's a very, very good thing. And then the whole thing, you got to win in 2026 if you want to keep the momentum going and continue to take bites at the apple of cleaning up this Washington, D.C. mess. You're going to have to vote the right way in 2026 in the midterm election, and I hope you will. All right, again, breaking news for the morning is Sean Combs has been acquitted on the most serious charges of him, the racketeering charges. He was found guilty of... He was found not guilty of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. So he's found not guilty of that. There was a prostitution charge, I believe he was charged with, but some of the most serious charges. Oh, he was found guilty in transportation to engage in prostitution. So that's what he was found guilty of. Transportation to engage in prostitution. That is a guilty charge. That is a guilty charge. Not guilty of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. So acquitted of the most serious charges, and I'm sure the guilty charge is in the transportation to engage in prostitution. Not exactly sure what the detail of that is. I'm not a lawyer, but I have a feeling they were bringing maybe prostitutes across state lines or something. It sounds like that's kind of the guilty. He's not guilty of the racketeering. So I'm not sure the sentencing of here. This is a breaking news story as of this morning. All right, real quick. I've mentioned we have a chance for you to win a Raptor Ford Bronco at the Rivers Promise website at sweepstakes. Go to the win tab. But there's something else I want to do now at the Rivers Promise website. I'd like you to go to the Rivers Promise website now. riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org. And up at the top, you'll see a banner that says click and see our current events, our most recent events, upcoming events. And guess what you're going to find? Our golf tournament. It is live on the website. It's coming up Friday, September the 5th. And I hope that you will register to play golf. Now, even if you're not a great golfer, listen, there's nobody going to qualify for the PGA Tour on our golf course. It's a festival of fun is all it is. And guys are carrying around sticks pretending they know how to hit the ball. So worst crappy bunch of golfers you probably have ever seen in your life. The guy that's won for 9 straight years, his team, they buy all the mulligans, all the strings. They spend a lot of money, and they pretty much buy victory because I think they're all slushed up in, drinking by the time they get back to the clubhouse. So they win every year. And so I'm telling you, I'd like for you to register. You don't have to be a great golfer. Now, there's some of you out there that would like to be a sponsor. You say, Jimmy, I don't golf. Maybe you're a business owner. Why don't you go to the website right now, riverspromise.com, register to your foursome to play golf. You can register as an individual. It's Friday, September the 5th. It's Friday, September the 5th. You can jump in there. And also, my friends, be a sponsor. If you'd like to be, we just opened it up yesterday. We have a group of great sponsors that have been with us for years, but hey, it's first come, first serve. So the beverage card, you can be a lunch sponsor, breakfast sponsor. You can be title sponsors just coming together. So there's also be just a whole sponsor. Whatever the case may be, go sponsor, help our golf tournament. It's at riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org. The sooner you sponsor, the sooner we can start promoting to all of the people that are going to be at the event how great a person you are. And we'll be glad to do that. But register and sponsor at riverspromise.com or riverspromise.org. And you'll see a banner at the top that says see our upcoming events. And that's where you find the golf tournament. If you want to win the Ford Bronco Raptor edition, hit the win button and you can register in our sweepstakes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the meme roulette segment of the program. I think we've all sounded off properly on our chicken and pizza restaurants and regional, your go-to food, fast food restaurant. Thanks for participating in that. Rachel, you say, I couldn't get the program this morning until a few minutes ago. Were there technical issues? Rachel, it doesn't look like I haven't heard of any technical issues. I don't see any of our automated signs. It looks like the media equalizer page is kind of going red wave, but it's very quiet, so there may be a trouble there. The Twitter's very, we only see part of the numbers. We get some notifications in real time, but we hope that we're glad. Rachel, if you missed it, go back and listen to the podcast, audio version. Roger says, I love the golf tournament, drinking event where golf breaks out. Lots of fun. I will be there. Everybody registered, and you can meet Roger there. Jeff jumps in the chat room, says, I think every bill should have to be read and listened to by both houses and media covered accordingly. Chuck Schumer made them read the bill this time, all 900 and something pages, and in making them read the bill, guess what happened? They found out what biological gender is. And Chuck Schumer not too happy that they had to get educated as Democrats as to what a boy is and a girl is. So he may never want to have that bill read again. All right, riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org. A couple of ways to win, and win as a golfer. Go to a golf tournament and also register to win our sweepstakes in a 2025 Ford Bronco Raptor. All that at riverspromise.com. Big day yesterday for Rivers Promise as both of those updates went onto our website. Of course, you can just go there and make a donation. We would appreciate you doing that as well. Let's do the meme roulette section of the show. And by the way, I referenced earlier the interview I did yesterday with Sherry Cree about it being a buyer's market right now. If you missed that, or you're like Rachel, you missed part of today's show, go to all of your podcast platforms, iHeart, Spotify, you get the idea, Podbean, all the things that you listen to, and just type in Jimmy Lakey Unleashed, and you'll find the audio version of the program, and it will be up within a matter of moments after this, and you can listen to it as a podcast. It's audio, so you don't get to see all the little pictures that pop up on the screen, but it's a great way to listen to the program in the background on the podcast. So it's called just Jimmy Lakey Unleashed on all the podcast platforms. And if you missed yesterday's interview with Sherry Cree, that is up there, talking about the buyer's market and the real estate. And also, if you missed part of the show today, like Rachel did with some technical glitch that was out there, we apologize. You can do that again, on the podcast platform, or on the Facebook, on the YouTube, or the Rumble. Go back and watch the shows as they are archived for a couple of weeks, and they stay on the feed for a while, so you can go watch it live again. I have in my hand, my friends, the globe that we do the meme roulette from. It's a meme roulette. We steal memes from around the globe, and we do it like this. We're too cheap to make our own, not creative enough, don't have enough time. Round and around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what it says. Nope, I'm not interested in your latest workout routine. I get plenty of exercise trying to get my leg through my underwear without falling over. I'm now picturing producer Chad picked that because he was having a bad day putting his drawers on today. I don't know. Yeah. One leg at a time there, boys. One leg at a time. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. If you keep your AC higher than 73, please don't invite me over to your terrarium, you lizard. We should do that. What do you keep? Not today. I think we've kind of did in the winter. What do you keep your thermostat at during the summer? I keep mine pretty low. People say I keep mine Texas cold is what they call it. Some of these people, I turn it on special occasion. Screw that. I keep the air conditioning going, and I'm sorry. We keep it quite chilled at the House of Lakey. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Jeff says, for the noobs, coffee warning. Sorry, the underwear photo, the producer Chad tripping over his drawers. We didn't warn Jeff about the coffee. We apologize for that. Let's see. I got to blow the screen up for this. So this has a hidden meaning. When you leave Cafe du Monde, I did that. I got the beignets at the. I went to Las Vegas, New Orleans last year, and I didn't get beignets the whole time, and so I was at the airport and I decided to get some beignets, and I got them, and it looked like I had dropped a cocaine basket right on the floor of the airport. I actually got it from my seat and changed seats because I was embarrassed at all the powdered sugar that had gone everywhere. It looked like I could have been sorting something off the carpet, but I didn't. So I was embarrassed. I understand the feeling right there. So it's a New Orleans joke, my friends. If you haven't been to New Orleans, you should go to New Orleans. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Here we go. It's never too late in life. Everybody be encouraged. Ray Kroc joined McDonald's at the age of 52. Henry Ford started Ford at the age of 40. Harlan Sanders, also known as Colonel Sanders, started KFC at the age of 65. And the guy that posted this, Chad Sexton, he won an argument with his wife at the age of 50. My friends, I tell you, it's never too late. Don't give up hope. And don't expect results like Chad. Those are unusual results. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. I asked an Amish man how the COVID pandemic affected his community. He said, it didn't affect us much at all. We don't have TV. Yeah, it doesn't affect us much of all. We don't care what our jackass Governor Polis said. We don't care what our jackass governors say. We don't even watch the television. COVID didn't bother us at all. It's a booger cootie virus because we did not get hyped up by the propaganda machine and the media that's controlled by the state and the deep state and stupid governors. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. We stole this one from the Babylon Bee. Thomas Massey didn't like the big, beautiful bill, so he has unveiled a small, ugly budget bill. But hey, don't worry, it has great personality. It's a small, ugly bill, but got great personality. And boy, can it cook. That's how they set you up with a fat girl in the South. I know. Believe me, they tried. Or an ugly one. Round around. Jeff says, if you're going commando, no exercise. Producer Chad, put your drawers on if you're going to exercise today. Ladies and gentlemen, round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, that means we have milked the meme machine dry, which means the show is about done. Tomorrow morning, I want you to tune back in, but we'll continue to get any breaking news on the Diddy. Diddy's acquitted on most charges. He was found guilty transporting to engage in prostitution. So that was a naughty by Diddy, but the racketeering, the serious charges, he has been acquitted on those, and we'll find out what the sentencing is going to look like here for P. Diddy. Download, listen to the program on your favorite podcast platform, and you can hear this show in its entirety. If you're like Rachel and couldn't get through, we apologize for that. Also, I'll give you the news again. We always say to donate to our charity, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. I tell you, the $30 feeds a child for 30 days, 2 meals a day. You know the spiel. I tell you that all the time. Thank you for all your generosity. And right now, I just want to play this one more time on the opening day of it. That little vehicle right there is a Ford 2025 Ford Bronco Raptor. If you go, you can win this. We're going to give it away. And if you want to get it, you can get that. Go to riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org, either one. Up on the menu, tick win, and you will see our sweepstakes. All the rules, regulations, and things are all on the page as well. You can read it, but it's all right there. We're going to give that away in a couple of months, and we'd like for you to participate. All you got to do, you just donate, and you get entries into that sweepstakes, and we appreciate you doing that charity sweepstakes. Thank you very much. Also, the golf tournament is live. Register, sponsor, etc. Love for you to do that. All of that is at riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Again, we're going to do tomorrow's edition of the show, which is a Thursday. We will take Friday off for Independence Day in America. Tomorrow, stay tuned. All the guests that in the world that are trying to get a couple more hits on their itinerary are trying to get on the show tomorrow. We're going to do some screening here in just a minute. and find out who we're actually going to let access this beautiful audience out there. If you'd like to advertise with us, info@jimmylakey.com. Info@jimmylakey.com. In the meantime, I am Jimmy Lakey. May God bless you. May God bless America. Peace. I'm out of here.